Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and watched the screens. Thousands of enemy ships floated in space around Earth. They looked like metal insects with glowing lights. Each ship was 3 times bigger than the largest human warship. Jake had been a soldier for 30 years, but he had never seen anything like this. "Sir, we're getting a message," said Commander Lisa Hayes. Her voice was calm, but Jake could see worry in her eyes. Lisa had been his communications officer for 5 years. She never showed fear, but today was different. The main screen lit up. A strange creature appeared. It had 4 arms, gray skin, and eyes like black holes. When it spoke, a machine translated its words into English. "I am High Chancellor Vexthal of the Zephyrian Confederation. We speak for 12 species and 10,000 ships. You will listen." Jake felt his stomach tighten. 10,000 ships. Humanity had 400 ships total, spread across 12 different star systems. Most of those ships were far away, protecting human colonies. "Humans have spread through space like a disease," the alien continued. "You fight too much. You take what you want. You are dangerous. This ends now." Captain Ryan Bell stepped forward. He was Jake's intelligence chief, a thin man with sharp eyes who always knew more than he said. "Admiral, our scouts confirm the numbers. We count 9,847 enemy ships in this system alone. Reports coming in show similar fleets at our major colonies." The alien on the screen raised one of its 4 arms. "We offer mercy. Surrender now. Move your people to worlds we choose. Leave under our watch. You will be safe, but you will not expand. You will not build weapons. You will not threaten others." Jake looked around his bridge. These were good people. Lisa had a daughter back on Earth. Ryan had parents on Mars colony. They all had families, friends, lives worth protecting. But Jake also knew what surrender meant. It meant the end of human freedom. "You have 72 hours to decide," the alien said. "If you refuse, we will show you why resistance is pointless. We have destroyed 3 of your outer colonies as examples. We can destroy more." The screen went black. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Parker's voice came through the speakers. She commanded the ground forces on Earth. "Admiral, we just lost contact with New Austin, Frontier Station, and Liberty Colony. Long-range sensors show. Nothing left." Jake closed his eyes. 3 colonies. Each one home to 50,000 people. Families, children, teachers, farmers. All gone in minutes. How many civilians on those worlds? Jake asked, though he already knew. 150,000 people, sir," Amy said. Her voice cracked slightly. Jake opened his eyes and looked at his officers. General Nathan Ford appeared on another screen. He was an old friend, a man who had fought in the Mars Rebellion 20 years ago. Nathan commanded Earth's defensive forces. "Jake, we have to consider surrender," Nathan said. "Look at the numbers. 10,000 ships against 400. They have weapons that can destroy planets. Our best missiles barely scratch their shields." Colonel Beth Turner shook her head. She was Jake's tactical officer, a woman who had never lost a battle. "Sir, if we surrender, we're finished as a species. They'll control where we live, what we do, how many children we can have. We'll be pets in a cage." "But we'll be alive," Nathan argued. "Our families will live." Jake walked to the main window. Earth looked beautiful from here, blue and white and perfect. Humanity's first home. Behind him, his officers waited for his decision. Ryan spoke quietly. "Admiral, I've been studying these aliens for weeks. The Zephyrian Confederation has conquered 47 different species. They always follow the same pattern. Ultimatum, demonstration of force, then surrender or destruction." "How many species fought back?" Jake asked. 3, sir. The Valdorians lasted 6 months. The Helix fought for 2 years. The Krell Empire held out for 3 years. What happened to them? Ryan was quiet for a moment. Complete extinction, sir. The aliens don't just defeat military forces. They destroy entire worlds, entire cultures. Nothing left. Lisa looked up from her console. Admiral, we're getting messages from our colonies. They're asking for orders. What should we tell them? Jake thought about his daughter Sarah. She was studying to be a doctor on Europa Station. He thought about all the human children in schools across 12 star systems. They trusted him to keep them safe. But what did safety mean? Sir, Beth said, I know the odds look impossible. But humans have won impossible fights before. We're not like other species. We don't give up. Nathan's face was grim. Beth, this isn't about courage. It's about math. They have 25 ships for every one of ours. Numbers aren't everything, Beth replied. These aliens think like a group. They follow rules. They expect us to be reasonable. But what if we're not reasonable? What if we fight dirty? Jake turned around. His officers looked at him, waiting. In 72 hours, he would have to give the aliens an answer. Surrender meant safety for some humans, but the end of human freedom. Fighting meant almost certain death for everyone. He thought about human history. Humans had always faced impossible odds. They had survived ice ages, wars, plagues, disasters. They had never given up, never accepted defeat when survival was at stake. Get me a secure channel to all human military commanders, Jake said finally. All ships, all stations, all colonies. Lisa's fingers moved across her console. Channel open, sir. Jake looked at the camera. Across 12 star systems, human commanders waited for his words. Some were young officers on their first assignment. Others were veterans like him, people who had fought to protect human worlds for decades. This is Admiral Morrison to all human forces, he began. The enemy has given us a choice, surrender or fight. They think they know humans. They think we'll be reasonable. They think we'll choose the safe path. He paused, thinking of Sarah, of all the children across human space. They're wrong. Since you chose war, Jake said, looking directly into the camera, let us show you how it's executed. The message went out across space, reaching every human ship, every colony, every military base. It would take time for the aliens to understand what those words meant. But Jake knew his people would understand immediately. The war for humanity's survival was about to begin. Dr. Elena Rodriguez ran through the underground tunnels beneath Luna Base. She carried a small case that contained humanity's greatest secret. For 10 years, she had worked on Project Midnight, hidden from everyone except a few top military leaders. Now that secret would either save humanity or die with them. She reached the secure meeting room, where Admiral Morrison waited with his staff. Elena had never met the Admiral before, but she knew his reputation. He was the kind of man who made hard decisions and lived with them. Dr. Rodriguez, Jake said as she entered, I hope you have good news. Elena opened her case and pulled out a small device. It looked like a simple computer tablet, but it held years of research. Admiral, everyone thinks this war is about weapons and shields and big ships, but it's not. It's about how we think. Captain Kevin Walsh leaned forward. He commanded the fastest ships in the human fleet, scouts and raiders that could slip past. Enemy patrols. What do you mean? The aliens fight like a big army, Elena explained. They have central command, standard equipment, and they all follow the same plans. When the commander says attack, they all attack. When he says retreat, they all retreat. Colonel Beth Turner nodded. That's how most armies work, but not human armies, Elena said. She touched the tablet and showed them diagrams. We've been preparing for a different kind of war. Every human ship will have one of these. She held up the tablet. This is an AI system we call Prometheus. It can think, learn, and make decisions without waiting for orders from command. If a human ship gets cut off from the fleet, it can keep fighting on its own. Dr. Alex Carter, Elena's partner on the project, joined the meeting by video link. He was aboard a research station near Jupiter. Admiral, we've tested this system for 2 years. Human commanders make decisions faster than alien committees. Our ships can adapt to new situations, while theirs are still asking for permission. Jake studied the device. How fast can we install these on our ships? They're already installed, Elena said with a small smile. We've been putting them on every human warship for the past 6 months. Your captains think they're just upgraded navigation. Computers. Major Julia Stone entered the room carrying a large weapon. She was head of weapons development, a woman who understood how to break things efficiently. Admiral, we have more surprises. She set the weapon on the table. It looked rough, like it had been built in someone's garage. The aliens have energy. Shields that stop our regular missiles and bullets. But shields are designed to stop specific types of attacks. This weapon fires different types of projectiles every few seconds, Julia continued. Explosive rounds, armor-piercing, electromagnetic pulse, even simple chunks of metal. The alien shields can't adapt fast enough. Tech Sergeant Danny Kim appeared. On another screen, he was aboard a ship near Mars, where human engineers worked around the clock. Admiral, we're also modifying our ships. Instead of building them all the same way like the aliens do, we're making each ship different. Danny showed them pictures of human ships being changed. Some had extra armor, others had bigger engines, some carried special weapons. If the aliens develop a weapon that works against one type of ship, it won't work against all of them. Jake looked around the room. These people had been preparing for war while he was trying to prevent it. How long have you known this was coming? Elena glanced at the others. Intelligence reports showed the aliens were building fleets 3 years ago. We knew they would eventually demand our surrender. So we started preparing for the war. They didn't think we could fight. Commander Tony Brooks joined the meeting. He led special operations, the soldiers who fought in the shadows. Admiral, we have teams ready to deploy behind enemy lines. While their big fleets are fighting our ships, we'll be attacking their supply bases, communication stations, and command centers. The aliens think in terms of big battles, Tony continued. Fleet against fleet, army against army. They don't understand guerrilla warfare. They don't know how to fight an enemy that refuses to line up and be destroyed. Captain Walsh pulled up star charts. Sir, I recommend we split our forces immediately. Instead of 400 ships in organized fleets, we create 2,000. Small groups. Each group has 1 or 2 ships with Prometheus AI systems. The aliens will be looking for our main fleet, Walsh explained. They'll expect us to mass our forces and fight a traditional space battle. Instead, they'll find small human ships everywhere, hitting them from all directions. Jake studied the plans. Everything these people suggested went against normal military thinking. Splitting forces made them weaker in direct combat. Guerrilla tactics worked on planets, but space was different. But then he thought about human history. Humans had always been the underdogs. They had defeated enemies with better weapons, bigger armies, and more resources by refusing to fight fair. How do we coordinate 2,000 separate groups? Jake asked. Dr. Carter answered from his video link. The Prometheus AI systems can communicate with each other instantly. They don't need central command. Each group makes its own decisions, based on the overall mission. Which is? Jake asked. Elena looked him in the eye. Destroy the enemy's ability to fight. Not just their ships, but their factories, their supply lines, their communication networks. Make it so expensive to fight us that they give up. Major Stone added, the aliens conquered other species by showing overwhelming force. The enemy would see how outmatched they were and surrender. But what if we don't surrender? What if we keep fighting no matter how many ships they have? Jake walked to the window. Outside, he could see alien ships in the distance, dark shapes against the stars. Soon those ships would start shooting. Human cities would burn. Millions would die. But these people were offering him something he hadn't expected. A chance to fight back. Not just to lose with honor, but to actually win. Dr. Rodriguez, Jake said, can your Prometheus system really coordinate attacks across multiple star systems? Yes, sir. It can process information faster than any alien commander and adjust tactics in real time. Captain Walsh, how quickly? Can you scatter our forces? 12 hours, Admiral. My ships are already moving to predetermined positions. Major Stone, how many of those adaptive weapons do we have? Every human ship carries them now, sir. Plus enough ammunition for 6 months of continuous fighting. Jake made his decision. Send the order. All human fleets are to split into small groups immediately. Begin guerrilla operations in 6 hours. Primary targets are enemy supply ships and communication relays. He turned to face his staff. The aliens want a war. They think they know how wars are fought. Let's show them they're wrong. Elena smiled for the first time in weeks. Admiral, there's one more thing. The aliens have been studying the species they conquered. They have detailed plans for fighting traditional space battles. But they've never fought humans before. They don't know what we're capable of when we're desperate. What do you mean? Other species fight to win, Elena said. Humans fight to survive. There's a difference. When you're fighting to survive, there are no rules. Jake nodded. He understood. The aliens had made a mistake. They thought they were fighting another civilized species that would follow the rules of war. Instead, they were about to face humans who would do anything, sacrifice. Anything to stay free. The war was about to begin, and it would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 6 months had passed since the war began. Captain Maria Santos wiped blood from her forehead as she walked through the damaged corridors of her ship. The UES Ranger had just completed its 15th mission deep into alien territory, and each mission was getting harder. But Maria was not attacking military targets anymore. Her orders were simple. Destroy everything that helped the enemy fight. Factories, supply depots, fuel stations, food processing plants. The aliens were learning that humans did not follow the normal rules of war. Captain, called Lieutenant Brad Cooper from the bridge, we're approaching the Kepler Industrial Complex. Sensors show it's heavily defended. Maria climbed back to the bridge and looked at the screens. The complex was huge, with dozens of factories floating in space around a small moon. These factories built the parts that kept alien warships running. Without them, the enemy fleet would slowly break down. How many civilian workers? Maria asked. About 50,000, Mom. Mostly Helix species, some Zephyrians. Maria felt sick. In the old days, before the war, she would never attack civilian targets. But the aliens had destroyed human colonies with families and children. They had started this kind of fighting. Any military ships guarding it? 6 heavy cruisers and 12 patrol boats, Captain. Maria's ship was alone, just one small human vessel against 18 enemy ships. By normal military thinking, she should retreat. But humans had stopped thinking normally. Load the new warheads, she ordered. Target the main power station. The weapons that Major Stone's team had developed were getting better. These new warheads could change their target after being fired. The alien defense computers could not predict where they would hit. Captain Santos, came a voice over the radio. It was Colonel Pete Anderson, calling from the occupied human world of New Texas. "We're ready to coordinate with your attack." Pete commanded the human resistance fighters on worlds the aliens had conquered. The aliens thought they controlled these planets, but they were wrong. Human civilians were still fighting, making life dangerous for any alien who tried to rule them. "What's your status, Pete?" Maria asked. "We have sabotage teams ready to hit 3 alien supply convoys when you start your attack. The timing should confuse their response." This was how humans fought now. Every attack was part of a bigger plan. When Maria hit the industrial complex, Pete's people would attack supply convoys. At the same time, other human ships would hit targets in different star systems. The aliens could not defend everything at once. "Beginning attack run," Maria announced. Her ship accelerated toward the complex. The alien defense ships moved to intercept, just as she expected. But instead of running away, Maria flew straight at them. The aliens opened fire with their plasma cannons. Energy beams lit up space around the Ranger. But Maria's ship had been modified with new armor that could absorb some plasma energy and redirect it to the ship's engines. "Fire all weapons," Maria ordered. The Ranger's guns launched a mix of different projectiles. Some exploded against alien shields, others punched through armor, and a few carried electromagnetic pulses that disrupted alien electronics. The enemy ships had never faced this kind of confused attack. 2 alien ships exploded. A third lost power and drifted helplessly. But more were coming, and Maria's ship was taking damage. "Captain," Brad called out, "we're losing hull integrity on Deck 3. "Keep us moving," Maria replied. She was not trying to win a space battle. She just needed to get close enough to the industrial complex to complete her mission. The Ranger swept past the alien defense line. Maria could see the massive factories ahead, full of innocent workers who were just trying to do their jobs. She hesitated for a moment, thinking about the families that would be destroyed. Then she remembered the images from New Austin Colony. The alien ships had not hesitated when they killed human children. "Fire the special warhead," she ordered. The missile streaked toward the main power station. The aliens tried to shoot it down, but the warhead kept changing course. It slipped past their defenses and exploded inside the power facility. The entire industrial complex went dark. Without power, the factories stopped working. The life support systems failed. Emergency alarms echoed through space as 50,000 workers tried to evacuate. Doc Maria did not stay to watch. Her ship was badly damaged, and more alien vessels were approaching. The Ranger limped away into the darkness between stars. Another successful mission completed. Back on Earth, Ambassador Helen Murphy sat across from an alien diplomat. The creature called itself Quillanth, and it claimed to represent several species that wanted to end the war. "Ambassador Murphy," the alien said through its translator, "this fighting must stop. Civilians are dying. Factories are being destroyed. This is not how civilized species conduct war." Helen looked at the alien with cold eyes. She had been a diplomat for 20 years, but the war had changed her. "You started this war by demanding our surrender and destroying our colonies. Did you think we would just give up?" "We offered you safety," Quillanth replied. "You could have lived peacefully under our protection." "As slaves," Helen said. "You wanted to control where we could live, how many children we could have, what technology we could develop. That's not peace, that's prison." The alien seemed confused. "But you cannot win this war. We have more ships, better weapons, superior technology. Continuing to fight will only lead to more destruction." Helen smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "You still don't understand. This isn't about winning or losing. This is about survival. Humans will keep fighting until we're all dead or until you leave us alone." "That's not rational," the alien protested. "No, it's not," Helen agreed. Humans aren't always rational. When we're threatened, we do whatever it takes to survive. We'll sacrifice anything, destroy anything, pay any price. Dr. Sam Hughes, sitting beside Helen, added his own perspective. He had spent years studying alien psychology, trying to understand how different species thought about conflict. Your species evolved differently than ours, Sam explained to the alien. Most of your people were prey animals or lived in environments where fighting was rare. You see war as an extension of politics, something that should have rules and limits. Humans evolved as hunters, Sam continued. For millions of years, we tracked down prey that was bigger and stronger than us. We learned to never give up, to keep fighting even when injured, to work together to bring down enemies that should have been able to defeat us. The alien delegate shifted uncomfortably. But surely you can see that continued resistance is pointless. You cannot defeat our combined fleets. Helen stood up. Maybe not. But we can make this war so expensive that you'll wish you had never started it. Every day you fight us, you lose ships, supplies, and people. Every day we get better at killing you. Your confederation is made up of different species, she continued. How long before some of them decide this war isn't worth the cost? How? Long before they start blaming each other for the losses? Quillenth was quiet for a long moment. What do you want? Complete withdrawal from all human territory, Helen said. Payment for the colonies you destroyed. And a guarantee that you will never threaten human worlds again. Impossible, the alien said. You are in no position to make demands. Helen picked up a data pad and showed the alien some numbers. In the past 6 months, human forces have destroyed 47 alien supply depots, 23 communication stations, and 12 major industrial facilities. We've sunk over 300 of your ships. You've lost more ships than we have, Quillenth pointed out. Yes, but we're building new ones faster than you can destroy them, Helen replied. Our entire economy has switched to war production. Every human factory is now making weapons, ships, or supplies for our military. Dr. Hughes added, Meanwhile, your people are getting tired of this war. They expected a quick victory, not a long, bloody fight. Human resistance on occupied worlds is making those conquests worthless. The alien diplomat looked defeated. I will take your terms back to the Confederation leadership, but I do not think they will accept them. Then the war continues, Helen said simply. And every day it continues, the price gets higher. After the alien left, Sam turned to Helen. Do you think they'll agree to our terms? Helen shook her head. Not yet. They still think they can win through superior force. But they're starting to doubt themselves. Give it a few more months, and some of their species will start looking for ways out of this war. Through the window, they could see human ships launching from Earth's orbital shipyards. These ships were ugly and rough compared to alien vessels. But they worked. Most importantly, humans could build them quickly and cheaply. The aliens had superior technology, but humans had something more valuable, the willingness to pay any price for their freedom. The war was far from over, but for the first time, victory seemed possible. 2 years had passed since the war began, and Dr. Rachel Kim was studying something she had never expected to see. The alien prisoners in her research facility were afraid, not just worried or concerned, but truly terrified of humans. Rachel was a psychologist who specialized in understanding how different species thought and felt. Before the war, she had worked with alien refugees and diplomats. She had always found them to be calm, logical, and reasonable. Now she was interviewing captured alien soldiers, and they were completely different. Tell me about your last battle, Rachel said to the Helix prisoner across from her. The creature's crystal-like body was dim, which meant it was experiencing what humans might call depression. The humans came out of nowhere, the alien said through a translation device. Our sensors showed only empty space, Then suddenly 20 of their ships were attacking our convoy. They moved like they were insane, taking terrible damage just to destroy our supply vessels. Why do you think they fought that way? Rachel asked. The aliens' crystals flickered with what she had learned was confusion. They lost 15 ships to destroy 5 of ours. The math makes no sense. Any rational commander would have retreated. Rachel made notes on her tablet. This was the same pattern she heard from every prisoner. The aliens could not understand why humans kept fighting when the logical choice was surrender. Meanwhile, in a different part of the galaxy, Commander Chris Baker was preparing for the largest human operation of the war. He stood in the briefing room of his ship, looking at maps of 17 different star systems. "This is Operation Endgame," Chris told his officers. "We're going to hit the alien homeworlds all at the same time." Lieutenant Colonel Susan Wright, his tactical officer, pointed to the star charts. "Sir, these aren't military targets. These are civilian population centers." Chris nodded grimly. "The aliens have been targeting our civilian colonies since the war started. It's time to show them what that feels like." "But sir," protested Major Ken Roberts, "attacking civilian targets goes against everything we've been taught about warfare. The rules of war went out the window when they destroyed New Austin Colony." Chris replied, "We're not trying to conquer these worlds. We're trying to break their will to fight." The plan was complex, but simple in its goals. Human strike teams would attack infrastructure on alien homeworlds, power plants, communication networks, transportation systems, food distribution centers. They would not target civilians directly, but they would make normal life impossible. General Paul Martinez, coordinating the operation from Earth, had explained the strategy to his commanders. The aliens think their homeworlds are safe because they're far from the fighting. We're going to show them that nowhere is safe when you're at war with humans. At the same time, other human forces were preparing for their most daring mission yet. Captain Ted Lewis commanded a special assault group targeting the Nexus Gate, the central hub that allowed alien fleets to travel quickly between star systems. Ted's ships were loaded with volunteers who knew they probably would not survive the mission. But they also knew that destroying the Nexus Gate would cut the alien Confederation's fleet in half, making it impossible for them to coordinate their forces. "Remember," Ted told his crew, "we're not trying to capture the gate. We're trying to destroy it completely. Once we start the attack, there's no retreat." His navigator, Lieutenant Amy Davis, looked at the tactical display. "Sir, the gate is defended by over 200 alien ships. We have 30 vessels." "I know the odds," Ted replied, "but this gate is the key to their entire strategy. Without it, their scattered fleets can't support each other." The attacks began simultaneously across 17 star systems. Human ships appeared without warning around alien homeworlds that had never seen combat. The aliens had left only light defenses because they never imagined humans could reach so far into their territory. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Commander Lisa Hayes led a strike against the planetary communication center. Her team fought through the alien city streets, using weapons and tactics the defenders had never encountered. "The humans fight like demons," one alien soldier reported to his superiors. "They do not retreat when wounded. They do not surrender when outnumbered. They keep fighting until they die." At the same time, the alien Confederation leadership was meeting in emergency session. High Chancellor Vexthul, who had delivered the original ultimatum to humanity, was trying to understand how the war had gone so wrong. How can a species with only 400 ships threaten our 17 homeworlds? He demanded of his military advisors. General Kriegstall, commander of the Confederation fleet, was exhausted. "They do not fight like other species. They split their forces into tiny groups that attack everywhere at once. When we send ships to defend one target, they attack 10 others. But we have destroyed thousands of their ships, Vexthal protested. And they have built thousands more, Crixtal replied. Their entire civilization has become a war machine. Every human factory, every human worker, every human resource is focused on fighting us. The alien leaders were beginning to understand something terrible. They had thought they were fighting a small, outmatched enemy. Instead, they had awakened something that would not stop until it was destroyed or victorious. News arrived from the next escape battle. Captain Ted Lewis and his 30 ships had fought for 72 hours against overwhelming odds. 24 human ships had been destroyed, but they had completed their mission. The Nexus Gate was gone, blown apart by human explosives. Sir, reported the alien communication officer, we've lost contact with fleets in Sectors 7 through 12. Without the gate, it will take them months to rejoin the main force. Vexthal felt something his species rarely experienced: despair. The humans had cut his fleet in half with one desperate attack. Worse, the attacks on the homeworlds were causing panic among civilian populations who had never known war. Ambassador, Quillanth entered the chamber with urgent news. Chancellor, the Helix Collective is requesting permission to withdraw their forces from the war. What? Vexthal could not believe what he was hearing. The humans have destroyed 6 Helix merchant vessels and raided 3 of their trade stations, Quillanth explained. The collective says the economic cost is too high. They want to negotiate separate peace terms. This was Vexthal's worst fear. The Confederation was held together by mutual benefit. If individual species started making separate deals with the humans, the alliance would collapse. Send a message to Admiral Morrison, Vexthal ordered. Tell him we are willing to discuss terms for ending this conflict. Back on Earth, Admiral Jake Morrison received the alien message with mixed feelings. Humans were winning the war, but the cost had been enormous. Nearly half of the human fleet was gone, and millions of civilians had died on occupied worlds. Colonel Beth Turner brought in the casualty reports. Sir, we've lost 847 ships and approximately 2.3 million personnel. But intelligence reports show the aliens have lost over 3,000 ships, and their confederation is starting to break apart. Jake studied the numbers. In any normal war, these losses would be considered catastrophic defeat. But humans had never fought a normal war. What are our production numbers? He asked. We're launching 400 new ships per month, Beth replied. Crude, compared to our pre-war vessels, but effective. The aliens are only replacing about 150 ships per month. Dr. Rachel Kim's research had provided crucial intelligence about alien psychology. The enemy was not just losing ships and people. They were losing the will to fight. Several species in the Confederation were questioning whether the war was worth continuing. Admiral, called Communications Officer Lisa Hayes, we're receiving a priority message from the alien leadership. They want to arrange a meeting to discuss ending the war. Jake looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were still fighting and dying. But for the first time since the war began, he could see a path to victory that did not require the extinction of the human race. Tell them we'll meet, Jake said, but make it clear that we're not the ones asking for peace. If they want to end this war, they'll accept our terms. The war had taught the aliens something they never expected to learn. Humans were not just another species to be conquered and controlled. They were something new in the galaxy, a race that would rather die fighting than live as slaves. The tide of war was turning, and the aliens were beginning to understand what Admiral Morrison's message had really meant. Humans knew how to execute war in ways the galaxy had never seen before. 2 years after the ultimatum, Ambassador Kate Williams walked into the meeting room on Proxima Station. Across the table sat representatives from 12 alien species, the same ones who had demanded humanity's surrender. But now they looked tired, defeated, and eager for peace. High Chancellor Vexthil, who had started this war, could barely look at the human delegates. His forearms trembled slightly as he spoke through the translation device. Ambassador Williams, we are here to discuss terms for ending this conflict. Kate opened her folder and pulled out a document. She had been a diplomat for 15 years, but had never negotiated from such a position of strength. These are humanity's requirements for peace. She slid the paper across the table. Vexthil read it, and his gray skin turned even paler. These terms are very harsh, he said quietly. You started this war by threatening to destroy us, Kate replied. You destroyed 3 of our colonies before we even had a chance to respond. You made this conflict total war. These are the consequences. The terms were indeed harsh. Complete alien withdrawal from all human territory. Payment of massive reparations for destroyed colonies. Restrictions on alien military buildups near human space. And most importantly, recognition of humanity as the mediator for future galactic conflicts. Why do you want to be mediators? Asked Ambassador Yithara of the Crystalline Assembly. Because we've proven something important, Kate said. We've shown that we can fight total war better than anyone else in the galaxy. That makes us valuable as peacekeepers. Dr. Ben Foster, sitting beside Kate, explained further. Other species will think twice before starting wars if they know humans might get involved. Nobody wants to face what you just experienced. The negotiations took 3 days. Some alien species tried to argue for better terms, but their hearts were not in it. The Helix Collective had already lost half their merchant fleet. The Zephyrians had spent more resources on this war than they had in the previous century. Even the proud Krell Empire was exhausted. The Valdorian Republic wishes to withdraw from this confederation, announced their representative on the 2nd day. We will sign separate peace terms with humanity. This started a cascade. Within hours, 6 more species had requested individual agreements with humanity rather than group negotiations. The alien confederation that had seemed so powerful 2 years ago was falling apart. Colonel Steve Garcia was busy setting up the monitoring stations that would enforce the peace treaty. These stations would be placed throughout former alien territory, watching for any signs of military buildup or aggression. The beauty of this system, Steve explained to his staff, is that it prevents future wars by making them too expensive. To start, the monitoring stations served a dual purpose. They warned humanity of any threats, but they also served as reminders to alien species of what humans were capable of. Each station was defended by ships crewed by veterans of the recent war, people who had learned to fight without limits. Back on Earth, General Lisa Murphy was dealing with a different kind of problem. She ran the Veteran Affairs Department, helping human soldiers adjust to peace after 2 years of total war. The hardest part, she told her counselors, is helping them remember that not every problem requires a military solution. The war had changed humanity. An entire generation had learned to see conflict as a fight for survival rather than a political disagreement. They had become very good at destroying things, but now they needed to learn how to build again. Dr. Ben Foster, who had helped negotiate the peace treaty, was now studying the long-term effects of the war on human society. His research showed disturbing trends. We won because we were willing to do anything to survive, Ben explained to a conference of human leaders. But that mindset doesn't turn off easily. We need to be careful that we don't become the very thing we fought against. Meanwhile, Admiral Morrison, now promoted to Supreme Commander of Human Forces, was thinking about the future. He stood in his office on Luna Base, looking at reports from across human space. The war had made humanity the most feared military force in the galaxy, but it had also isolated them. Other species were afraid to get too close to humans, worried that any disagreement might lead to total war. "Sir," said his aide, Lieutenant Mark Taylor, "we're receiving reports of a new species that has entered our region of space. They call themselves the Nexari, and they're asking for a meeting." Jake reviewed the intelligence reports. The Nexari were young as galactic civilizations went, having just developed faster-than-light travel. They had heard stories about the recent war and wanted to establish friendly relations with humanity. "Set up a meeting," Jake ordered, "but make sure they understand our position clearly." The meeting took place on a neutral space station. The Nexari delegation was led by Ambassador Falek, a being that looked somewhat like a large insect with intelligent eyes. "We have heard many stories about humans," Falek said through his translator. "Some call you destroyers, others call you protectors. We wish to know which is true." Kate Williams, now humanity's chief diplomat, smiled. "We are, whatever the situation requires. If you come in peace and treat us with respect, you will find humans to be loyal friends and valuable allies. And if we do not?" Falek asked. Kate's smile disappeared. "Then you will learn why the Zephyrian Confederation no longer exists as a unified force." The Nexari quickly agreed to a friendship treaty with humanity. Word spread throughout the galaxy that humans were reasonable partners for those who approached them honestly, but devastating enemies for those who threatened them. Years passed, and the galaxy settled into a new pattern. The phrase "going human" entered alien languages as a term for fighting without restraint or mercy. Military academies across dozens of worlds studied human tactics as examples of total warfare. Young alien officers learned about Admiral Morrison's last message as a turning point in galactic history. They studied how a smaller, technologically inferior force had defeated a massive confederation through superior strategy and unlimited commitment. At the Human Military Academy on Mars, instructors taught a different lesson. They showed students the cost of total war and emphasized the importance of finding peaceful solutions before conflicts reached the point of no return. "War should always be the last option," explained General Amy Parker to her cadets. "But when it becomes necessary, it must be fought with complete commitment. Half measures in war lead to longer conflicts and more casualties." The galaxy had learned to respect human military power, but more importantly, it had learned to fear human determination. Other species now understood that humans would pay any price to remain free, and that knowledge kept the peace. In his final report as Supreme Commander, Admiral Morrison wrote, "We did not seek this war, but we fought it with everything we had." The galaxy now knows that humanity cannot be conquered by force or intimidated by threats. This knowledge is our greatest weapon and our greatest responsibility. The war was over, but its lessons would last for generations. Humanity had shown the galaxy a new kind of warfare, one where survival mattered more than tactics, where determination counted more than technology, and where the will to fight was more important than the means to fight. The last message from Human Command had promised to show the aliens how war was executed. That promise had been kept, and the galaxy would never forget the lesson. Some species fought for territory, others for resources or honor. But when humans fought, they fought for the right to exist as free beings, and that made all the difference. Had returned to the galaxy, but it was a peace built on the understanding that some lines should never be crossed. The aliens had learned what happened when you forced humans to choose between freedom and survival. They had chosen both and shown the entire galaxy how to fight for them. In the end, the war had not just been about human survival. It had been about proving that some things were worth any sacrifice to preserve. Freedom, dignity, and the right to determine one's own destiny were not negotiable, and humanity had been willing to pay any price to keep them. The galaxy was safer. Now, not because humans were peaceful, but because everyone understood the consequences of threatening them. It was a hard-won peace, bought with the blood of millions, but it was a peace that would last as long as the galaxy remembered the lesson of total war.